only got $20 in my pocket. I'm hunting, looking for a come up.
Thank you.
King Boss.
But just to kind of build off a couple things that Katie said that I thought was really funny, right? I recently just moved to Atlanta, Georgia 3 years ago. We looked at 15 houses in one day, right? We walk up to the last house, and it's got some ivy on the front porch, and I'm like, all right, whatever, it's cool. It's another house. My wife is like, we're done. This is the house. I feel it. Well, can we go inside? Like, no. I mean, we can, because I know you have to, want this as well. But for me, it's done. 30 days later, we're moving in. So yes, 100%. And I think, it kind of segues nice into what I'm talking about, right? And I'll get into more of that. But my name is Bennett. I've been with Cars Direct for 17 years. A third of my life has been with Cars Direct. So, similar to the guy who was talking yesterday, I get passion, right? I get trying to shut it off, and even to build off of what Katie said a little bit more, when your wife was telling you, hey, manage this, that's code. That's code for you got to get your head right. She wants more time with you, right? And for me, and Andre spoke to it a little bit as well, how do you shut it off? And I think it's just finding other passions too, right? I live by the mantra, work hard, play hard, right? I bust my ass at work. I care a lot about Cars Direct, Auto Credit Express, but I also enjoy my kids, right? I want to be a good dad. I think most people in this room want that. And I think that it's important to balance that, right? So anyways, just to kind of, we wanted to talk a little bit about what are the 3 keys to success, right? Everyone's talking about success. A lot of times people brought up the secret sauce. What's the secret sauce? So as we talk to our dealers, especially in the subprime world, we see a common theme in the recipe, right? So just to show of hands, how many people do subprime here? When I say do subprime, I mean like you go after it, not just take it as they walk in, okay? How many people do Spanish customers? How many people go after Spanish customers? Okay, it's actually pretty good. So I think when we look at it, right, the 3 pillars for us are lender relationships. I know speaking to some of the people last night, I know we had a guy in here from Westlake, but lender relationships are so important. Everybody knows things have tightened up with the banks, what their requirements are, what the rates are, the bank fees. It's tough, right? These top elite guys, they're the ones that understand it. They understand having the relationship, they understand how to structure the deals, and how to build off of what they're doing day in and day out. The consumer knowledge, sort of like what Katie said, right? Understanding the women. We'll talk about some of the big things that we've run into and that we see that's important to understand in dealership world today. And then obviously the high functioning BDC. Obviously the Dealer Synergy team does a phenomenal job with that. Before I get into the next slide, I think another thing that's really important is we talk about, when I do my trainings with my sales reps and my sales team, and obviously we're all here for training and to get better, there's really 3 buzzwords that I stick with. Number 1 is evolve, right? And I think these buzzwords translate into, whether you're a lender or you're a dealer or just even in your personal life, right? Evolve is a big one for me, right? We constantly have to evolve. When I first started in this business, 2007 with Cars Direct, I used to get phone calls, you guys won't even be in business in a couple of years. You guys won't even be around. Well, here we are, still today, right? Thriving, doing well. But it is our responsibility as leaders, salespeople, just people in general to evolve with the times, right? Our product, our relationships, our just knowledge in general, we have to continue to evolve. Second one is customize. I'm really big on customize. And I think this is what makes Cars Direct and Auto Credit Express unique. But I think it's because we can customize something for anybody. Whatever you dealers are looking for, we can help provide something, right? And I think that as salespeople or leaders within your organizations or dealerships, it's our responsibility that we can customize something for any person, whether it's the training, whether it's the sales process, whether it's the selling to a customer and their experience. You have to be able to customize it to what their wants and needs are. I think yesterday someone said what their first question is, I can't remember what it was when they were asking them about they were coming into the dealership and they were first up, We used to ask, how do you want this experience to go? We used to sell cars, we used to broker cars, and that was our first question. What is your expectations of this experience? And then we customize it from there. So customize is a big one. And the last one is relationships. I feel like it's a very generic term in sales and probably gets used a little too often, but to a certain extent, partnerships are important. It's important from a feedback perspective. Again, Cars Direct to a dealer. It's important that we have feedback on what's happening. Ken Potter, who is a big dealer synergy guy, I don't think he's not here, but I used to hear him tell a dealership, he'd go in, he'd sell them, everything's all good, like we're all excited, and he'd be like, look, we're gonna mess up, you're gonna have a problem, but what's important is you call me. I can't fix what I don't know is broken. And I used to be like, ugh, Ken, what are you saying? It's like, ugh, I don't wanna put it in their heads, we're gonna screw up. But the reality is, it's setting expectations. It's setting the expectations of the relationship. There's gonna be a problem. And you need to call me. And when you call me, you need to trust that I'm gonna be the one to fix it. This needs to be an open dialogue. This works we communicate back and forth. And I think that's so vital when we talk about partnerships within the vendor-dealer space, the dealer-customer space, and just in life, right? Talking through that stuff. So one little bullet point, Auto Giants Nissan. I don't know if some of you might have seen it on Sean's montage yesterday. Through his 20 years, he used to work with them. Brad, who is the general manager there, he and I have become really close friends over the past few years. Our relationship is very open, right? Brad says, hey, listen, I want to start with a little bit of money now. He started with $2,000 a month, he's spending $12,000 a month, right? And each time we talk through stuff, it's, hey, Dave, I'm looking to do more. I need to sell more cars, but I'm not ready yet. But I want to make sure to give you a heads up. This is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, man, I think that's too good, or that's good, or hey, that might be a little too far to go for your dealer base. We talk through it, we execute it. He spends $12,000 a month, easy math, $144,000 a year. He pulled in $500,000 in 2023 from a gross profit standpoint, right? And it's just through that partnership that we're talking and working things out, and then he has the processes, he's prepared, he's not reaching too far. And he literally just texted me last week that he was the #1 Nissan store and he was pumped about it, right? So those relationships are important. So to get into the first one, right, we talk about the lenders. I'm gonna open up to you guys, but one of the things that we see is that the credit unions are actually one of the biggest lender types in the last couple of years, right? Regional or local credit unions have stepped up their game from a lending perspective, and obviously the banks and the conventional financing has scaled back. My question to you guys is obviously there's a lot of subprime dealers or salespeople in here. Who do you guys use? Who do you guys use to go to in today's world where things are tighter? Having those lender relationships are vital. You guys need those guys. We see a lot of dealer groups leveraging their volume with those banks. And it's vital to kind of help your subprime world in general. The next point, this has been a big focus of ours for the past 4 months, is we call it gig workers, right? Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, Postmates. What are you guys doing with these types of customers? We've seen it since 2019. We've seen it grow from 5% to 12%, almost tripling its size. And the reality is, we all know it's gonna just continue to grow, right? So what are you doing with these customers? Again, you have to understand, your team has to understand how to handle these type of customers when they walk in the door. Again, talking to my buddy last night, it's structuring these deals, understanding, okay, I don't want my team punting these guys out the door. I don't want these guys pre-qualifying them. You gotta go through the necessary steps. And your team needs that training and that knowledge in order to set it up properly. Make sure that they're all aware, because again, these consumers, they're continuing to grow. We're talking, they've almost tripled in 5 years. This one's one I'm a little passionate about. I'm the subject matter expert for Spanish for Cars Direct. This is a segment where it is growing rapidly. We're talking, the income is growing over 20%. We're talking about a customer who is 4 times more likely to buy a new car, 52% more likely to refer a customer. And this segment is just continuing to grow. Oh, by the way, they're using the mobile devices, which we've obviously spent a ton of time talking about, AI and all that different communication. So we know this customer is growing rapidly, the income's growing rapidly, they're more likely to refer business to you than any other customer out there. How many, show of hands again, how many dealerships work with Spanish customers? I mean, we're talking about maybe a quarter to a third of the room. It's crazy to me. You know, yesterday, I don't remember which event, someone put up Beaver Toyota on the slides. Beaver Toyota has an entire Spanish department just for handling Spanish customers. Then they have a team of about 10 to 12 people designed to just focus on the advertising, focus on the customers, and make sure that it's the ultimate buying experience for those customers. Just to kind of recap, we're talking about a customer who is growing rapidly within the buying market, a customer whose income is growing at 20+%. They're more likely to refer a customer for repeat and referral business, which is what we all want, right? And we know that they have cash down. Oh, and by the way, they're roughly about double the profit on the Spanish deals versus the regular consumer deal, right? It's only about a third of us are actually going after these customers. A third of us are prepared to handle these customers and give them the buying experience that they deserve. So we have to get better. We have to evolve, right? We have to be able to evolve with the industry, evolve with the times and what's happening in our fields. We need to continue to talk about how do we want the Spanish consumer experience to be when they walk into your dealership. It's great to put signs up on your dealership or signs up on your light post that you handle Spanish consumers, but what's the experience like for them when they come in? So again, we have to focus on this. We have to continue to evolve. The last thing is the BDC portion, right? And follow-up. As we listen to everyone in this room, it's so encouraging to hear the willingness to learn, the willingness to be better, and the follow-up process and the stuff that people are using for AI. It's fascinating. But the reality is we still get dealerships that call us that say, hey, Dave, using your leads, they suck. Can't get anybody on the phone. Okay. All right, well, never fails. I come from a dealership background. I did 6.5 years in a dealership before my 17 with Cars Direct. Roll up the sleeves, start calling customers. I typically don't call more than 10 leads. After 10 leads and talking to customers, setting up appointments, the proof is in the pudding, right? So how do we do this? I can't have my sales team calling leads, right? What can we do to help the dealership? So we talk about things of how to improve the contact rate, how to improve engagement. But one of the things, I was talking to one of my contacts up in Seattle at Raritan Auto Group, and he's a big believer of us. He came from the Pure Auto Group, who obviously do a ton of subprime. And he's like, Dave, I need help, man. Like, Mr. Raritan's all over me. I need things to turn around. So we actually kind of like talk through things, and I'm like, well, what is it? Like, what do you think you're running into? And it's contact. Okay. So what we did was we actually used our call center to say, all right, why don't we circle in behind the dealership in day 10? Whatever, just call them. Just call the customer. Hey, Jimmy, just calling. Wanted to see if you had purchased a vehicle yet. How's your buying experience gone? There's no scientific method to it. It's literally just a round robin. We call the leads, we get through them, we call a second time, call a third time, maybe send a couple texts. Just see if we can get in touch with them, right? Hey, how's your buying experience? Good. Purchase a car. Okay, did you happen to purchase from Raritan Honda? Okay. No, yes. It doesn't matter what the answer is, right? Purchase a car. But if the answer is no, hey, Jimmy, you want to go ahead and schedule an appointment with Dave over there? I can set you up for Thursday at 10 a.m., right? Whatever. And what we found was we were getting a 26% contact rate, and a 25% of those customers were setting up an appointment with the dealership. So what does that mean? Does that mean, oh, the dealership sucks and they're not doing their job? I mean, it's possible, right? But I look at it more from the standpoint of, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, you guys are calling your customers. You guys are checking the box for your CRM. Now, if your sales team is like some of my salespeople, we're so on them about making sure to put your notes in Salesforce, put your notes in whatever, right? Call the customer. What's the quality of that contact? Are they making an impression with the customer? Because we can call and leave voicemails all day long. We can send fancy text messages through AI or generic or however we want. but we have to try to make an impression with the customer. I love the videos, the video text. I just feel like that's something that differentiates yourself. But what are we doing to separate ourselves and make an impression? We also do these things called fire drills, where we go back and call the leads over the last 30 days. When we call these leads, same thing, we're just asking the customer, hey, how's your buying experience? Did the dealership contact you? Have you purchased a car? Was your experience good? 35% of the customers, and I'm telling you, when my team put this slide together, they were being conservative. They didn't want to make anybody feel bad, but most of the time it's 40 to 50% of the customers say that they have not been contacted by the dealership. I always tell my dealerships, don't freak out from that. I don't need you murdering any of your BDC people. It's more about an impression being made. It's not just checking the box and calling a customer to stop the clock or stop your manager from getting on your ass about putting notes in the system. We as leadership shouldn't want to see a LM in the notes, right? Or we send a text message. We want to see contact. We want to see these salespeople doing what they can to make contact and make an impression with the customers. That's what we need. We have to understand what our industry is going to. We have to understand that the customers are evolving, the customers are becoming more educated. There's different types of customers out there, whether it's the Spanish consumer, the female consumer, whoever. We have to be able to pivot. We have to be able to evolve with our industry and customize something for anybody that comes into our showroom. And our team has to be equipped to be able to do that. So that's all I had. I appreciate your time. Any questions?
Can you go into more detail on the recipe to get a 26% contact rate?
I think that, I think part of what happens is with us for our fire drills and our BDC2 that we do, we try to set up our call logs when we're dialing out to a consumer, because we have a call center in Hermosillo, Mexico, and then obviously Los Angeles, where our corporate headquarters is, but most of our call center is Hermosillo, Mexico. And but we're very conscious of, when we're calling outbound to customers, that the customers are seeing local numbers. So I think that's part of it. And I think that it's just repetition. We have a script for leaving the voicemails. I think sometimes, again, understanding your customer, right? These are customers that are having creditors call them. And it's a fear of answering and having that conversation, right? A lot of people don't believe in voicemails, but for these types of customers, I do believe voicemails are important to kind of lower their guards.
Wow, hey, listen, man. Amazing job, my main man, Mr. Dave Bennett. Listen, if you don't have access to Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on crucial information. The top automotive groups like Koons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their teams. And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand. Stop waiting and start winning. Dominate your market. Click the link and get access now.